The false dawn. The Andromeda Council chambers gleamed with the light of 1,000 stars, their crystalline walls reflecting the hope of an entire galaxy. Ambassador Kilix of the Zenturi adjusted his ceremonial robes, his 4 arms moving in perfect synchronization as he addressed the assembled representatives. 300 cycles without major conflict, Kilix announced, his melodious voice carrying across the vast chamber. Our alliance has brought prosperity to worlds that once knew only strife. Among the delegates sat Captain Sarah Chen, Earth's youngest representative to the Council. She watched with pride as holographic displays showed bustling trade routes connecting hundreds of worlds. Humanity had earned its place here through diplomacy rather than force, their unique perspective on cooperation becoming a cornerstone of the new galactic order. The Zentari, with their crystalline bodies that sang when they moved. The Vorth, whose gaseous forms required specialized containment suits. The aquatic Delphini, communicating through bioluminescent patterns. All had found common ground under the Alliance's banner. Earth itself had transformed. Former military installations now housed cultural exchange programs. Weapons factories produced terraforming equipment. The planet that had once torn itself apart with wars now exported mediators and peacekeepers across the galaxy. Our expansion into the Outer Rim proceeds smoothly, continued Administrator Vex of the Collective, her compound eyes reflecting the star charts. 17 new systems have joined our trade networks this cycle alone. Sarah smiled, remembering her grandfather's stories of Earth's violent past. How different things were now. The Alliance had developed protocols for first contact, ensuring new civilizations were welcomed rather than conquered. Resource disputes were settled through arbitration. Even the most aggressive species had learned that cooperation yielded greater rewards than conflict. The peace seemed unshakable. The Alliance's combined fleets patrolled the space lanes, but their primary mission was rescue and exploration, not warfare. Most warships had been retrofitted for scientific research or disaster relief. As the Council session concluded, Sarah made her way to the observation deck. Earth hung in the distance, a blue jewel among the stars. Orbital rings circled the planet, connected by space elevators that had made surface-to-orbit travel as simple as taking an elevator. "Beautiful, isn't it?" asked Commander Thrain, approaching on silent feet. The Felixian's feline features showed satisfaction. "Your species has come far, Ambassador Chen." "We all have," Sarah replied. The Alliance proved that diversity is strength, not weakness. Indeed, though I sometimes wonder if we've grown too comfortable in our peace. Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You sound concerned, Commander." "Old instincts," Thrain admitted, his tail twitching. "My people were warriors once. Sometimes I feel we've forgotten how to recognize danger." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent chime. Council Administrator Vex's image appeared on the communication panel, her usually composed features showing distress. "Emergency session," she announced. "We've received a distress signal from Mining Station Gamma 7 in the Helix Nebula." Sarah frowned. The Helix Nebula lay on the very edge of explored space, where Alliance patrols were sparse. "Pirates," she suggested. "Unknown." The transmission was unusual. In the Council chambers, the atmosphere had shifted from celebration to concern. The distress signal played through the speakers, crackling with interference. "Under attack. Unknown configuration. They're everywhere. Stars help us. There." The transmission cut to static. "Analysis indicates the signal is genuine," reported the Vorth science officer, his gaseous form pulsing with agitation. "But the energy signatures don't match any known weapons technology." "Could be a new species," suggested one delegate. "Perhaps they've misunderstood our mining operations as hostile action." Sarah stood. "Earth volunteers to lead the rescue mission. We have 3 ships in that sector conducting stellar surveys." The Council agreed quickly. Within hours, the Earth vessels Horizon, Discovery, and Pioneer had altered course toward the mining station. Sarah joined the mission aboard the Horizon, wanting to see the situation firsthand. As they traveled through hyperspace, Captain Martinez briefed his crew. Standard first contact protocols apply. We go in peaceful, but stay alert. Something spooked those miners badly. The journey took 18 hours. When they emerged from hyperspace, the sight that greeted them defied comprehension. Mining Station Gamma 7 was gone. Not destroyed. Gone. Where the massive facility should have orbited, only debris remained. But this wasn't normal battle damage. The metal had been twisted into impossible shapes, as if reality itself had been warped. Sensors detecting organic matter, reported Lieutenant Kim. It's everywhere. The entire debris field is coated in some kind of biological residue. Sarah felt ice in her veins. Survivors. Negative. No life signs. Wait, I'm picking up something. Energy signature, 2 light-years out. On screen. The image that appeared made veteran spacers gasp. Ships, if they could be called that, hung in space like predatory insects. Their hulls seemed to be grown rather than built, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that hurt to look at directly. They were massive, each one dwarfing the largest Alliance battleship. They're beautiful, whispered someone. They're terrifying, Sarah corrected. As they watched, one of the bioships turned toward them with impossible speed. No inertia, no acceleration curve. It simply changed direction like a living thing. Incoming transmission, Kim announced. The voice that filled the bridge wasn't quite a voice. It was more like the universe itself speaking, words that bypassed the ears and etched themselves directly into consciousness. New PREY DETCTED, Philosification, Earth origin, technological LEVL, primitive, resistancy, futile. Captain Martinez straightened. This is Captain Martinez of the Earth vessel Horizon. We represent the Galactic Alliance and come in peace. Please identify yourselves. The response chilled them to their cores. We are DEATHURO, DERs. We are HUNGR. We are the end of all things. Your alliance is PREI. Your PC is DILUSION. Your time is OVER. The bioship fired. The weapon wasn't a beam or projectile. It was a distortion of space itself, a ripple of wrongness that tore through the cosmos. The Pioneer, caught in its path, didn't explode. It unraveled, its atoms scattered across dimensions. Evasive maneuvers, Martinez shouted. All ships, retreat. Get word to the Alliance. The Discovery tried to jump to hyperspace, but the Deathworlder ship moved faster than physics should allow. Tentacle-like appendages erupted from its hull, wrapping around the Earth vessel. The Discovery's hull began to dissolve, consumed by whatever hellish biology powered these monsters. Only the Horizon escaped, pushing its engines beyond all safety limits. As they fled, more Deathworlder ships emerged from nowhere. Dozens, then hundreds. A fleet that defied counting. Each vessel a nightmare of organic technology. Sarah watched the tactical display with growing horror. The Deathworlders weren't just attacking. They were spreading like a virus, each ship splitting and growing, consuming debris and converting it into more of their kind. They're not invaders, she realized aloud. They're a plague. The journey back to Alliance space took days. By the time they arrived, 3 more frontier colonies had gone dark. The Alliance's peaceful age was ending, and something far worse than war had begun. In the council chambers, panic reigned. Peaceful diplomats struggled to comprehend military reports. Scientists babbled about impossible biology. The carefully constructed order of 3 centuries crumbled in hours. They call themselves Deathworlders, Sarah reported, her voice steady despite her fear. They don't want our resources or territory. They want us. They're predators, and we're prey. Surely we can negotiate, insisted Ambassador Calyx. All sentient beings have needs, desires. They desire our extinction. Sarah cut him off. I felt it in their message. They're not like us. They're not even like anything we've imagined. They're death incarnate. As arguments rage, reports flooded in. The Deathworlder fleet advanced through Alliance space like a cancer, consuming everything in its path. Defensive fleets, hastily assembled from mothballed warships, were swept aside like leaves before a hurricane. The Vorth homeworld fell in 6 hours. The warrior Phylixians lasted 2 days. The aquatic Delphini managed 4 days by retreating to their ocean depths, but even the crushing pressures of their world couldn't stop the Deathworlders' bioweapons. And still they came, an endless tide of organic horror, each ship learning from every encounter, adapting, evolving. The Alliance's greatest strength, its diversity, meant nothing to an enemy that saw all life as mere fuel for expansion. As Sarah stood in Earth's Defense Command, watching the tactical displays show system after system falling dark, she remembered Commander Thrain's words. They had grown too comfortable in their peace. They had forgotten that the universe held horrors beyond imagination. Now they would remember, or they would die. The false dawn of peace had ended. The true darkness was coming. When death comes calling, Earth's orbital defense platforms hummed with frantic activity as the remnants of the Alliance fleet gathered above humanity's homeworld. Ships from a dozen species, battered and scarred, formed a ragged defensive line. In the command center, Sarah Chen stood beside Admiral Jessica Hayes, humanity's most experienced military commander pulled from retirement to face the apocalypse. Latest intel puts the Deathworlder Vanguard 3 days out. Hayes reported, her weathered face grim. Their main fleet. Maybe a week behind that. A week to save civilization. Sarah murmured. No pressure. Around them, the Joint Command staff worked with desperate efficiency. Humans, Zentari, surviving Phylixians, and others struggled to coordinate their disparate technologies and tactics. The Alliance had never needed a unified military doctrine before. They were learning on the fly, with extinction as the price of failure. The Corvin Admiral suggests we evacuate, said Commander Zeth, the last-ranking Phylixian officer. Find a new galaxy, start over. Run where? Hayes asked sharply. These things don't just conquer, they consume. They'll follow us to the edge of the universe. Sarah studied the tactical displays, her mind racing. The Deathworlders had swept through the galaxy like a plague, but patterns were emerging. They always attacked the strongest defenses first, drawn to the greatest concentrations of life energy. They adapted to every weapon used against them, making each battle harder than the last. We're thinking about this wrong, she said suddenly. We keep trying to fight them like a conventional enemy. Because that's what they are, Zeth protested. A hostile force invading our space. No, Sarah shook her head. They're predators, apex predators, and we're acting like prey. Running, hiding, making our last stand. What if we acted like something else? Hayes raised an eyebrow. What did you have in mind, Ambassador? Humans have a saying, the best defense is a good offense. But I'm thinking of another one. If you can't beat them, confuse the hell out of them. The next 3 days transformed Earth's defenses beyond recognition. Instead of traditional battle lines, human engineers created something unprecedented, a defensive maze in 3 dimensions. Asteroid fields were reorganized into geometric patterns. Derelict ships were positioned as decoys. Sensor networks broadcast false life signs in seemingly random locations. The Zentari contributed their expertise in crystalline harmonics, creating resonance fields that distorted space-time. The gaseous Vorth designed chemical clouds that interfered with biosensors. Every surviving species added their knowledge to humanity's unconventional strategy. When the Deathworlder Vanguard arrived, they encountered something they'd never faced before: organized chaos. Their bioships, expecting traditional defenses, instead found empty space where fleets should be. Their sensors, attuned to life energy, detected it everywhere and nowhere. As they advanced, automated systems activated in seemingly random patterns. They're hesitating, reported Lieutenant Kim, watching from a concealed observation post. They don't know what to attack first. Sarah smiled grimly. Good. Let's make it worse. The human battle plan, codenamed Pandora's Box, activated in full. Thousands of drones, each broadcasting human biosignatures, scattered in all directions. Holographic projections created false fleets. Quantum transmitters bounced signals across the system, making it appear that Earth's forces were everywhere at once. The Deathworlders, for the first time in their recorded encounters, stopped advancing. They're trying to analyze our pattern, Hayes observed. Too bad there isn't one. That's the point, Sarah replied. Every other species tried to fight them with logic, with organized resistance. We're giving them chaos, and chaos doesn't compute. The vanguard ships began to split up, chasing sensor ghosts. As they separated, humanity's real fleet struck. Not in a massive assault, but in tiny coordinated strikes. A single fighter would appear, fire exotic weapons developed from Alliance technology, then vanish into hyperspace before retaliation could occur. Death by 1,000 cuts, Hayes called it. But the true innovation came from humanity's darkest gift, psychological warfare. Earth's transmitters began broadcasting on all frequencies, not military communications or demands for surrender, but something far more unsettling, human culture. Music spanning genres from classical to metal, videos of children playing, nature documentaries, recipe shows, memes. Billions of gigabytes of pure, chaotic human expression flooded the Deathworlders' organic systems. Are we really attacking them with cat videos? Asked a Zentari officer. Among other things, Sarah confirmed. They process information biologically. We're giving them the equivalent of a massive migraine. The effect was immediate. Deathworlder ships began moving erratically, their biopatterns disrupted. Some attacked each other. Others simply drifted, their organic systems overwhelmed by the sheer randomness of human culture. But the main fleet was still coming. 7 billion life forms, the lead Deathworlder had transmitted when first detecting Earth. Now, as their main force approached, humanity prepared its ultimate gambit. Operation Prometheus is ready, reported Dr. Chen, the lead scientist on humanity's most desperate project. Are we sure about this? Sarah and Hayes exchanged glances. They had one shot at this. Do it, Hayes ordered. Across Earth's surface, every human connected to the planetary network through neural interfaces, a technology hastily adapted from Zentari telepathic communications. 7 billion minds linked as one, broadcasting a single, unified thought into space. The Deathworlders had evolved to feed on life energy, to process biological information. Now they faced something unprecedented. An entire species thinking as one, channeling their collective will, their dreams, their defiance into a psychic scream that echoed across the cosmos. You will into life. Take it all. The effect was catastrophic. Deathworlder bioships, designed to absorb life energy, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer force of unified human consciousness. Their organic systems, evolved to process individual prey, couldn't handle the collective will of an entire species. Ships began to rupture, their biological components overloading. The neat formations of the invasion fleet dissolved into chaos as vessel after vessel succumbed to what humans had dubbed the psychic indigestion. But humanity paid a price. Thousands of minds couldn't handle the strain, burning out from the effort. Yet still they held, pouring their defiance into the void. Sarah, her consciousness part of the collective, felt the Deathworlders' confusion, their first taste of fear. These predators had never encountered prey that fought back by becoming something greater than individual lives. As the Deathworlder fleet reeled, the Alliance struck. Every surviving ship, every weapon, every desperate innovation was thrown into the battle. Centauri crystal weapons harmonized with human chaos. Vorth chemical attacks merged with Phylixian battle fury. The turning point came when the Deathworlder command ship, a moon-sized monstrosity of organic horror, began to retreat. For the first time in their recorded history, the apex predators fled. "They're running," someone whispered in disbelief. "No," Sarah corrected, disconnecting from the neural link with blood streaming from her nose. "They're learning. They'll be back." But for now, the immediate threat retreated. The Deathworlder fleet, reduced and confused, withdrew to the galaxy's edge. They had encountered something beyond their experience. Prey that refused to act like prey, chaos that defied their order, and a species willing to weaponize its own consciousness. In the aftermath, as rescue ships collected survivors and medics, tended to those who'd survived the neural link, the Alliance began to rebuild. But it was different now. The peaceful Federation had learned to bare its teeth. "We didn't defeat them," Hayes said, standing beside Sarah as they watched the stars. "We just confused them enough to buy time." "Time is all we need," Sarah replied. "Humans are good at adapting. And now we know they can be fought." "You think they'll adapt too?" "Probably. But here's the thing about chaos. It's infinite. Every time they adapt, we'll show them something new. Something impossible. Something human." The false peace was over. The galaxy now knew that darkness could come from the void, that death could wear the face of evolution itself. But they also knew something else. When faced with extinction, even prey could become predators. The Deathworlders would return, but humanity and its allies would be ready. They had learned the greatest lesson of survival. Sometimes, the best way to fight death was to become something death couldn't understand. As Earth's defenders began planning for the next encounter, signals arrived from across the galaxy. Isolated pockets of resistance, species thought lost, began broadcasting. They had seen Earth's stand. They had witnessed chaos defeating order, prey becoming predator. The real war was just beginning. But for the first time since the Deathworlders appeared, hope flickered in the darkness. Humanity had given the galaxy something more powerful than weapons or strategy. They had given them the courage to fight back. And in the depths of space, where the Deathworlders retreated to process their first defeat, organic minds struggled to understand what they had encountered. For eons, they had been death incarnate, the end of all things. Now they had met something worse than death, a species that looked into the abyss and laughed. The next time they came, they would be ready for human chaos. But humans had something the Deathworlders could never understand: imagination. And imagination, it turned out, was the deadliest weapon in the universe. The false dawn was over. The real light was just beginning to shine.